This is Unrendered on IKTV. I'm Tony Regisford, and my guest is the very amiable and endearing leader of the Democratic Republican Party. She is Anesia Baptiste. Anesia,
yes.
Let me give you a chance to run through quickly the rest of
Yes.
your policies. Why I should go out to the polls, and you should convince me that I mark my X next to the, what is your symbol?
DRP, it's the heart.
The heart. Okay.
It's the heart. Heart of love and care and sacrifice for the people.
Right. So let's hear you.
Yes. I would like to mention two more that are very important to us here. All of them are, but one for sure, the stimulation of business and job creation. This is something that is very important to Vincentians at this point in time, especially because it is a cry, generally speaking, of the people, younger persons as well as older persons, persons who are just finishing school, finishing university, finishing college, and they're like, we can't find jobs. And we need to have an environment that stimulates business and job creation. So this is something that we'll be definitely looking into in a very serious way.
Not interrupting you as such, but I'm listening to you, and I pretty much hear the same thing, you know, from the existing or the current government.
Okay.
They will tell you that's what they are doing, and or that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah. And
the main opposition party, the New Democratic Party, they're also telling me that this is what they will do. You know, they are addressing almost the identical areas that you're addressing, maybe some different strategies and so on, but they're flagged it.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm just saying, your focus is spot on, but why do you think you're going to do it better than the current ULP or the New Democratic Party?
Okay, well, I mentioned two aspects of our job creation plan. Well, first of all, I have to say one of the other points I was going to mention is connected because it has to do with the issue of taxation.
Right.
And we realize that we have to address the issue of taxes because it could be
crippling to business, crippling to people with the disposable income.
Yes. We don't want to kill business initiatives, but at the same time, want to try to close the gap between the haves and the have-nots, you know, and to
like
really...
Obama there.
Well, the point is, however, one of the things that we have in the forefront of our minds when it comes to job creation is what we like to call investment partnership.
Right.
We believe that more can be done when it comes to investment. If we look at it from the point of view of partnership, it must be a scenario where, okay, you have two players. You have the foreign investor, you have the Vincentian investor or entrepreneur, okay, including the diaspora.
Yes.
And we want to invite trainers to provide entrepreneurship training for our Vincentian people, for the average man who's interested in a field. But what we also want to do is to try to gently guide our potential entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs into the right kind of businesses for economic growth. We don't just want to have people sort of doing things helter-skelter. We want to understand what is happening out there, what is making money, where are the areas where we can get in and make money, and then help to guide them through providing training and matching them with investors, investment partnership, matching them with investors so the benefit could be mutual. So that an investor doesn't just come in, put down something, and then when he or she is tired or maybe sees greener pastures, gets up, leaves, and the Vincentians just had lower end jobs, so they can't continue anything. The education, the know-how must remain here with our people, that they can continue and they can do the job still, even if the investor pulls
so we have
out
to get
long
out of
after.
this
We
business
need
of
to
primary producers,
right?
right?
It has to be a partnership.
At the bottom of the food chain.
Yes, yes, it has to be a partnership, and we have to see more business alliances with people like Taiwan and so on. Okay, and so this is part of what would make my job creation plan different and unique. I will be stressing investment partnership. I'll be ensuring my people benefit more from investment rather than it just being seen as a case where, yeah, you provide a few low-end jobs and that's it. We want to go higher, and we want to ensure that our people benefit in terms of learning and expertise and training that they can continue even long after the investor has left or pulled out, as the case may be. Okay?
As you're talking about investment, and I guess I'm creeping now into some issues of the day.
Yes.
The cocoa company has pulled out.
Yes.
Right? And I, for one, have always been a skeptic of that whole cocoa attempt at an industry, the way it was set up. And because I saw us being yet again the primary producers. Same like the bananas, we just have the farmers who plant the bananas, cut them, and the value is in the supermarkets overseas.
Yes.
And we receive nothing. Okay, fine, you provide jobs, but at the end of the day, we can do better than that, right? What are your thoughts on the cocoa development?
Okay. I always had concerns about some of the terms of reference and agreement with respect to the Amajaro and so on. I was concerned about the 50-year period before you could review and so on.
Was it 50 or 25? I think it was 25.
25 or something like that. But I saw the headline of the editorial of the Searchlight newspaper. I haven't read it as yet, but it sounded as if they read my mind, because I had expressed to my husband earlier in the week that, you know, this issue of Amajaro pulling out could be a blessing in disguise because of some of the concerns I had. And that that was the editor's headline in the Searchlight newspaper for this week. But earlier in the year, I had traveled to London for my graduation. I completed my LLB. And the people with whom I stayed, a gentleman who worked here from the French government in the 90s. And so we were having a lot of political discussion. He's into agriculture, trading edible oils and so on. And he was asking me what's going on in St. Vincent. So I told him about the cocoa and Amajaro. And he actually said to me, but Anesia, Amajaro is selling. So I said, what do you mean? And that was in March. I wasn't surprised, therefore, when I heard that, okay. But he wrote to me. I sent the news to him and I said, what do you think, you know? What is your advice? And he went into saying that, look, while the people with whom Amajaro did business may not have seen it as strategic for them to follow what Amajaro wanted to do with St. Vincent and the Grenadines, he said, my best advice would be for St. Vincent to trade and market its own cocoa instead of relying on other businesses. Yes. And
add the value. This is the point.
Yes, I mean, and he basically went on to actually list some of the companies. I'm looking at the email right here. Some of the companies he believes would be interested in buying any high quality cocoa that we could produce. And I was really happy for that, you know. And I think I've heard the government express similar interest.
The thing
but I think that that's an opportunity for us.
Just this morning, I looked at a little clip, okay?
Yes.
It was quite hilarious, but there was a serious message in it. I looked at a little clip on YouTube where this guy went to these cocoa farmers somewhere in Africa, and he took a bar of chocolate. And these cocoa farmers, for the first time in their lives, were seeing what a bar of chocolate looked like, right? And they were tasting what the end product, or one of the end products of the cocoa that they harvested and produced for years. And of course, what jumped out there is the big disconnect. They are way down on the bottom of the food chain, right? And so far removed from the end product. And the end product is where the money is. And this is what I'm saying. Is the DRP going to, in its trust, look at not just having us as primary producers, where we just produce the first stage of the product, but also get involved in the industry, the value add, the finished product?
I understand your question. We would definitely be interested in looking at whatever possibilities and opportunities exist, not just for cocoa, but for other foods that we have already expertise, if I should put it that way, in planting and growing, where value adding is concerned. Okay, I don't want to say exactly particular as yet what we would do, but I can say that we are looking at opportunities. That's why I'm doing my research. That's why I have my colleague communicating to me and saying, hey, look, he said, you know, there are cocoa is a relatively small market still in the world and dominated by a few operators and few countries. So there's still opportunity for you to sell your beans directly, and of course for other things in terms of developing other products from the cocoa. So I see that we have opportunity, And the DRP, if given an opportunity to govern, would explore the opportunities through research and so on, and we would get the best for our people.
All right. Now, I'm getting straight into some of these issues that are being ventilated now. You were talking about Taiwan.
Yes, I mentioned Taiwan.
Somewhere in your thing. And I'm seeing here in the newspaper, NDP's hopeful Ben Exeter for Central Leeward is not impressed, basically, with Taiwan and what they're giving us. His questions are what are they receiving in return, and he's suspicious, right?
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I just want your opinion on that whole...
I didn't read what he said. I didn't read what he said, and I wouldn't really want to comment too much on what he said when I didn't read it, but could you tell me some more about what he said?
Okay. Essentially, he's suspicious about the Taiwanese giving a little and getting back a lot. This is the essence of his point, you know. They're giving us the wax apple, but they're getting all of the fishing rights, and they're pillaging and raping our seas of tuna and all of these things.
Oh, I see.
Basically. So they are getting more, much more than they're giving us. This is the essence of what I gather.
If that is one's opinion, the question would be, whose fault is that? And I am of the view that it is dependent on government and our negotiation skills to determine what we get and what we don't get in our diplomatic relations with the varying countries with whom we have diplomatic relations. And I would always seek to get the best for Vincentians. However, let me just say something, right? I would not be careless or irresponsible with my speech when it comes to, for example, our allies like Taiwan, because I've had first-hand experience with Taiwan, not only as a public servant having visited Taiwan. I benefited from attending a community tourism development workshop there in 2007, spent 3 weeks there with other Caribbean nationals, representing the Ministry of Tourism at the time. And it was a very eye-opening, informative, impressive experience for me. We learned a lot from what the Taiwanese were doing in various aspects of tourism development, community tourism development. And I walked away from Taiwan with an expression that they used at the time. They said, there is no Taiwan miracle. And I felt that it was an opportunity for us as a country to realize that when we look at other countries and we see how well they're doing, such as Taiwan, for example, we need to recognize that it came by hard work and certain strategies and certain cooperations and so on.
But let me be specific to bring you, let me get you back to the specifics.
Okay.
In your view, is Taiwan good for St. Vincent?
I think
just from
they have. I think they have been good to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We've benefited a lot of scholarships for our students, ongoing and past. A lot of our students have walked away being bilingual and so on as a result of their experience in Taiwan, having the opportunity to speak Mandarin, Chinese, etc. We cannot deny the benefits that we have gained from being in relations with Taiwan. I believe, however, that there's a lot more that we could benefit from that we haven't tapped into.
Right.
I do not want to be a government that is more concerned with a check here or there to build a bridge or a building here or there, but one that would really look at how we could benefit them in a more sustainable way, especially from the training, the sharing of training and knowledge, you know, and information in technology and agriculture, etc.
But isn't that exchange already going on? Because you mentioned the
I believe we could tap into it much more.
So you're saying there's more potential?
Yes, I think there's much more potential. And I believe that, at least for the current administrators with whom I've interacted, the ambassador and so on, I believe that there is potential and opportunity to explore deeper opportunities and sharing of knowledge and training and so on. It really depends on the government of the day, what you're asking for and what you're looking for. I have met with the ambassador. I have presented the DRP to him. I've expressed interest in traveling to Taiwan again to be able to meet and discuss issues of technology and agriculture and so on, because I think it's very important.
So would you say, and I'm being a little mischievous here, would you say that NDP's hopeful Ben Exeter may be a bit callous in his statements?
Well, because I did not read his statements myself, I will be very careful on how I comment on what you're telling me. However, if he would have expressed an attitude that suggests that we're not really benefiting from Taiwan and why are they really here, I would say that that would be extreme and it would be even irresponsible if that is what was the essence of what he expressed.
We're going to hold it there because we're at the end of the second segment.
Okay.
We're going to come back again with some of the topical issues.
All right.
When
then.
we come back. This is Unrendered on IKTV. My guest is Anesia Baptiste. She is the leader of the Democratic Republican Party. More when we come back.